was in here saying how hard she worked on her game this off-season, probably harder than she's ever worked before. And we've been talking all training camp about the next step for Fee. I mean, that second half for those two is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think they combined to make 16 to 19 shots.
Yeah, they had, 33 of the 35 in the third.
Yeah.
So obviously the third was what was special and got our separation. Yeah, really, really happy for both of them. You know, they both hooped, and you know, Courtney's work in the off season. The bar's low on the work in the off season. I'm just kidding. And you know, the older she's gotten, the more she's appreciating. I think those ways to, and you know how the season ended, and the responsibility that she took. You know, and some of our shortcomings. You know, she's sort of committed to that. Happy to see it pay off. We needed that. You know, this game, the way those two played. If you look at being down, you know, 2 starters, we needed those guys to do that. You know, and so it was good to see.
Collier, I guess in particular, it was a 1-point game. I think 6.5 minutes or so in the third, and then it just seemed like, with some help obviously from Courtney, but in that 10-1 run, I think she scored 8 points.
Yeah.
To force their timeout,
Yeah.
and that was the true moment of separation. I mean, was it just her saying enough's enough, or just it's starting to fall, or what did you see?
I mean, she was aggressive. I think she knew the spaces that she could be in, and I thought we were persistent in getting her there. That was one of the things that we said before the game. You know, we had on the board Fee, that we need to understand where Fee needs the ball, and you know, we can't go multiple possessions without that happening. And so we had great recognition in the third on that.
We'll go to Terry on Zoom.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Terry.
What was sort of the message at halftime? Based on body language, it didn't look like anyone was pleased with the performance in the first half, but just this team was obviously tremendous at making adjustments and taking over third quarters last season. So just curious, that was like tonight.
Well, I mean, I'd say for the game, particularly at halftime, our transition defense was a mess. Our commitment to, you know, being in spaces to make the paint much harder to achieve. They had their way with us. They absolutely had their way with us. And, you know, a 25-point second quarter, just, you know, and then turnovers to end the quarter. You know, we're trying to manage foul trouble with Court and Fee and take them out. And then, you know, just a bad ending to the quarter. And most of it was rooted in defense. The transition defense starting there. Didn't think, you know, once we got set and guarded actions that we were bad in that, but field goal percentage is too high. You know, that's what we said. We'd like to win, you know, and learn from winning. There's a lot to learn from this game. We are far, far from where we need to be defensively, very far. And we got out rebounded. You know, we fouled. All right, those are all things that, you know, we just don't want to do. Luckily, the offense was there for us.
Was T shaking up there?
She was, yeah. Her shin, first her ankle earlier, and then her shin. I guess she took a shot, got kicked, so she was hurting there.
Thoughts on Paige's first game?
I have to go back and look at it. That's really hard for me. We knew the actions we were trying to defend. I thought we largely did a good job there. I didn't notice her line. Yeah, thought we did a pretty good job on her. You know, it's obviously a really good player that's going to have a great career. You know, we shout out to Rebecca Brunson on the scout. I thought our attention to detail on the scout in the half court was really, really good. And I thought we made things challenging for both Paige and Enrique.
What impressed you the most about your team's execution in the third quarter?
Just they were making simple plays. It wasn't anything extravagant, and it was really Court making shots and Fee making shots. You know, Fee getting to, you know, her spots in the paint and finishing. But it was the way that we were running the actions. Again, keeping things simple and, you know, I mean that like Courtney when she's like that and she's running around making those pull-ups, they're daggers. You know, and it really helps Fee when those things are happening.
You had to feel good. Finally healthy Diamond coming out,
Yeah.
really making a difference.
Yeah, she really did.
You talked about getting that second unit a different look. I
Yep.
think we kind of saw that tonight.
You
didn't
did. You did. Diamond was ready. Diamond was focused. You know, Diamond had to be patient with us through training camp as we really wanted to make sure she was ready. So we sort of held her back a little bit, and she's been chomping at the bit, you know, to get back out there. And I thought her focus was really good. We've worked really hard identifying the spaces that we really want her to live in, and if it's not there, let's move on to something else. You know, certainly some learning moments, you know, later in the game, you know, when you know, started maybe force a little bit, but really good minutes for Diamond at both ends of the floor.
You saw her transition ability.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was, for a while there, she was your offense.
She
in the
was,
second
she
quarter.
was. We don't have anybody else on the team that can do what she does. And in terms of running that floor and the strength, if you look at Diamond, I mean, her strength when she's driving and she puts a body on you, you know, like she's in a really good spot.
I know you get super caught up in the game, like you said, you don't.
I do.
You didn't know how Paige, what her line was gonna.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
was there at any point during introductions or anything where you thought, I remember when she was 12 years old, I mean, and just, do you ever stop and think about those sort of things in the kind of game situation?
I wish I could give you something like really special right now, but in all due respect, I will refrain from maybe what I would have said previously. I have a lot of respect for Paige, but that was the last thing on my mind. I am not worried about Paige Bueckers, right? I'm really super happy. We've got you know, another face of the league and all those things, and I'm happy she's from Minnesota, and I'm happy you flew here to be here for her first WNBA game. But I was just so locked in on what our team was doing.
Coach, what stands out to you with Nafisa's evolution as a player? I'm from Connecticut, and I haven't seen her play in person since 2019. I'm just wondering what stands out to you about the way she's evolved and remained a dominant player in this league.
Yeah, well, certainly the perimeter game. You know, if you look at in her 2019 season, she was playing small forward, and we were just diving into the post, and she would occasionally shoot threes. She worked on it. Each year, all right, she's gotten better. The power forward spot has become her spot. Those have been her best seasons. I think she continues to evolve in the ways that she gets by people. Everybody knows what her move is, right? Everybody knows. But she, you know, she's one of those special players that can still get to. I'm sure you saw it. You know,
Yeah,
you
sure.
got the many times in Connecticut, and what you also saw in Connecticut, it's a player that doesn't stop moving. So her persistence in that space, and she generates offense without running plays for her. And that's what, you know, a lot of times when I go through, what are you going to run for fee? Well, what you run for fee is movement, because she's going to be a part of that movement. She's going to create something for herself because she never stops. And that's, you know, something I know that Gino would say, and obviously we get to feel that every day now. And her overall maturity, you know, that's also a natural evolution. In her leadership space, her understanding what we're doing, understanding what to say in timeouts, and how to, you know, like if it's not going well, how to solve the issues. She's just about as consistent a player that I think there has ever been in our league. You know, the way she shows up every day is consistent. Who she is as a person is so consistent, and obviously that leads to her consistency as a player.
So the crowd came out today to watch a former UConn star have a big game, and they did, right?
You did? Yeah, right about that. Yeah. UConn star upstaged the one you came to see.
Coach, can you just give me a quick thought on how Jess played and what it's like to have
Yeah,
her
thanks
back?
for asking about Jess, because I think Jess was, and has been, right, in the preseason game when you guys saw her. Jess is vital to our success, and she schematically knows where to be. Offensively, we put the ball in her hands, and she makes reads, so have a passing big is really nice. Her offensive rebounding, the way she battles, and then her ability to score, you know, around the rim. Again, it helps Fee to have someone else that can get in there and you know, like Jess is confident. She's a very confident player right now. She physically looks great, I think feels great. And so, you know, she's always been important to us, but it's another level right now, I think, in terms of her maturity and how she's feeling.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks.